Hey, do you know what is the biggest paradox in tango? The more steps you learn, the more movement you learn, the more you appreciate the exact opposite, the pause. When I started learning tango, I thought that everything was about the steps, the turns, the moves, the sequences, whatever. I would memorize every sequence that we did in the class, and my classmates were always asking me what was the thing that we learned in the previous class. And I was so proud that I could remember and I could show them what we did last time. And I was so proud that I could remember and apply them in my dance. I also remember myself being obsessed by trying to figure out new sequences, new moves, new combinations based on what we learned in the class. But now something has changed. The moments that I remember most from my tandas are not the moments of movement, are not the moments of a new move that I managed to accomplish, are the moments of pause, are the moments of not doing anything. I also realized that the dancers that I enjoy most watching from the sidelines are the dancers who are not moving all the time, are the dancers who are doing a lot of pauses, and are the dancers who are enjoying the moment of the pause. Welcome to Good Night Tango, your channel about tango in real life. I'm Christos, I'm dancing tango for 8 years now, and for the last 3 years I'm also writing about that in my blog. Today I want to share with you my story about how I turned from chasing the steps to appreciating the pause. And make sure to stick around because in the end there is a little surprise for you. As I said, when I started learning tango like everybody else, I was memorizing all the steps, I was trying to figure out new moves, I was trying to combine the steps that we were learning in the class and come up with my new combinations, and I was so obsessed with it. I took classes for 2 years, and actually in the second year I had this obsession of trying to combine steps that we were learning in order to make more fluid my dance. After 2 years, life forced me to stop this chase of steps. I had to move to another city, to another country, and in the beginning I thought I would be there only for 9 months, so I thought I would just take a pause from the classes and I would return after that. So initially I would only go dancing in the milongas. But then something happened and we were all forced to stop. You know what I'm talking about. COVID. No tango, no milongas, no classes, no practicas, nothing. We were forced to stop for almost a year. We were afraid to be in the same room with each other. We were afraid to even touch each other, not to mention tango. During the pause, I thought that I was missing the excitement of the step, the excitement of the sequence, the excitement of completing a sequence together with your partner without any mistakes. But when I came back, I realized that I was missing something totally different. I was missing the embrace. I was missing the feeling of being with another person and enjoying the music together in an embrace. I even wrote about this in a blog post back in 2022. The blog post was titled "The Most Important Step in Tango." Hey, here it is. Let me read you some of it. I believe that you will enjoy it. The most powerful step in tango. The feedback. You seem to want to dance to every single beat of the song, she told me some years ago, in a moment of feedback between other things in our conversation. Well, maybe. You are right. I think I do sometimes. I said and I kept it back in my mind. Our tango teacher used to say that when you go to eat out with friends, nobody likes a person who is eating non-stop. We all try to have a break from food, have a conversation, communicate, and in parallel eat. It's the same with tango. If you dance non-stop the whole song, it's like you're babbling non-stop in a conversation, not letting anyone else speak. The pause that changed everything. I always had this feedback in mind. Actually, I felt that some dancers avoided dancing with me maybe because of that. I always tried to force myself to stop, pause, calm down. And then came COVID. I was forced, like all of us, to completely stop dancing. I was forced to stay away from embraces. When I came back to dancing, I found a new respect and joy for the embrace, and I actually wanted to pause. I wasn't forcing myself to do it. I really felt like I needed to pause. I also maybe realized what was the problem so far. When you hug a person for a few seconds, it's mostly natural. We all do this more or less in our lives, especially when you meet after a long time, right? Have you ever hugged somebody for more than 5 or 6 seconds? When was it? And what happened after? I remember, for example, hugging or being hugged by relatives at funerals for so long. Usually the hug lasts for so long when one of the two needs a bit of healing, some relief. some comfort. If there is no such reason, then it feels awkward. One of the two will ask, "What's wrong?" after the 5 or 6 seconds. The pause in Tango forces you to do just that. Just stay there and hug. Maybe move slightly, but mostly hug. Before COVID, for me, it felt awkward. I wasn't feeling I needed it. I didn't appreciate it so much. It felt like music time lost. Now, after living so many months in social distancing, being afraid to even touch loved ones, friends, and relatives, things have changed radically. The pause is not music time lost anymore. It's music time lengthened, stretched, to enjoy what we missed so far. Moreover, we all need to heal from the trauma, to say to each other, "Don't worry, everything is going to be okay now." Today, if you ask me what is the most powerful step in Tango, I would tell you simply the pause. At this moment, I knew I was onto something. I enjoyed the pauses. I really liked the pauses. But why? Was it only because of the COVID stop? What if this never happened? Would I still be chasing steps one after the other? And I still didn't have a clear answer why people appreciate the pauses even more the more that they progress in Tango. Fast forward 1 year later. In the meantime, I took some classes with Natalia and Agustin and with Horacio and Maricel, and I realized that the pause is not only something powerful, it's not only a powerful step, but it's also a very useful step. Actually, I have written about it in my blog post titled "Silence is Golden." Hey, let's have a look at it. Silence is golden. Pauses in speech. A few months ago, I was writing about the pause and how I discovered its power through the pause forced on all of us from COVID. It is true that my dance has changed a bit from some years ago when I was used to be kind of hyperactive. Recently, I realized one more reason why the pause is not only powerful, but also very important. Let's say you have a dialogue with another person. What usually happens at any given moment is that one speaks and the other listens. There is one transmitter and one receiver. But what happens if both of them speak at the same time? Most probably you end up with two parallel monologues, like what happens in talk shows in Greek television before Greek elections. Where does this lead us? Well, if you want to have a dialogue, you must have two distinct roles that are constantly exchanged between the two partners. What is also very important is that the one listening should be silent in order to clearly understand the message that it receives. Any kind of interference, even from reasons outside of the couple, can lead to misunderstandings and problems in the communication. Have you ever tried to talk to someone in a noisy place? Therefore, silence is really important if you really care to listen to your partner. The transformation. At the beginning of our Tango journeys, the one who takes up the role of the leader is trained to usually speak. On the other hand, the one on the follower role is usually trained to listen. Sometimes people are dancing on a role and they don't even realize that they can do what the other role does. I was baffled by this. I still am, but a little bit less than before. How could my partner talk to me? And how can I receive the message? Well, in some of the recent workshops with Natalia and Agustin and with Horacio and myself, I finally got some answers to this. I will not explain in detail. I don't know if I can, but you know what was the common denominator in both answers? When is the best time to listen to your partner as a leader who usually speaks? In a pause. Well, given the dialogue paradigm, it is easy to understand why. During a pause, you silence your body. You, meaning mainly the leaders, are not creating any noise, and therefore it is the ideal time for the follower to express their wishes and ideas and moods. It is only during these times that the message can be crystal clear. Because in silence, even a whisper can be heard. Then it is up to you to decide if you want to listen and build on top of it when you start moving, or just ignore it and continue your endless monologue. Sometimes you may agree to what your partner says and expand on it. Some others you may disagree but nevertheless express the idea on your dance. And some others you might not be convinced at all and continue on your own path. In any case, allowing the time for your partner to express themselves, silencing yourself and listening to them is one of the best ways to make your dance a really amazing experience for both of you. Therefore, even in Tango, silence is golden. After all this, I thought I had all figured it out. The pause is a very powerful moment, is a very useful moment, and yeah, that's it. Until a few weeks ago, a friend of mine posted on Facebook something which triggered me. She was asking the exact same question that I asked in the beginning of the video. Why is it that after all these steps, after all these movements, after all these sequences, the more we dive into Tango, the more we appreciate the absence of all the movement, the pause? For a moment there, I thought I already had the answer. But then I realized I never really answered the why. I knew that the tango pose is very powerful. I learned that the tango pose is also a very useful moment for the connection and for the interaction of the couple, but why do we really appreciate it so much the more that we dive into tango? So I turned for an answer to AI. I asked ChatGPT the same question, and here is what it came up with. That is one of the most beautiful paradoxes in tango. When we first start, we are drawn to the complexity, to the new steps, intricate sequences, and technical mastery. But as we go deeper, we realize that tango is not just about movement, it's about presence, connection, and musicality. The reason why simple steps and poses become so meaningful is because they require a deeper understanding of the dance. Number one, connection over complexity. A beginner focuses on the steps, but an experienced dancer knows the magic that comes from the connection. A well-led pose or a simple move, when danced with intention and awareness, can feel more profound than any flashy move. Number two, musicality and interpretation. At a higher level, dancers don't just move to the beat, they interpret the music. The pose is not just longer not moving, it becomes a statement, a moment of tension, anticipation, or breath. Number three, confidence in simplicity. Many dancers initially feel the need to prove themselves with complex moves. With experience, confidence moves from doing more to doing less, because they understand that true expression doesn't require excess. Number four, emotional depth. A simple step, when danced with true feeling, can communicate more than 100 complicated steps. The more we mature as dancers, the more we appreciate the emotions behind the movement rather than the movement itself. 5. The power of the pause. In life and in tango, pause creates meaning. Just as silence makes music more expressive, pauses in tango highlight the movement that follows. They build tension, create intimacy, and allow both partners to truly feel each other. So, while steps are the doorway to tango, it's simplicity and stillness that reveal its depth. It's like poetry. The power is not in how many words are used, but in how they are placed. It seems like ChatGPT knows more about tango than many other dancers that I know. Who would have thought that? So here comes a surprise. I wanted to capture visually all this beauty and excitement that I have now about poses. I created this design to celebrate the importance and the beauty of the tango pose. It's now available in 4 different t-shirt designs, which you can find in different colors and sizes to pick the one that you like. And for those of you who are still watching, you will now see a coupon code appearing on the screen, and you can apply this to get a 50% discount in your next purchase of these new designs. So, what are you waiting for?